कि जो कांग्रेस अपने आप को देश के सबसे पुराने दल के रूप में स्थापित करने की बात करती है, उस कांग्रेस के लोग भारत की विरासत के प्रति इतना गंदा रवैया रखते हो, इससे बड़ी निर्लज्जता की बात दूसरी नहीं हो सकती है। गीता प्रेस को गांधी शांति पुरस्कार के लिए चयन किया है, ये विरासत की उसी परंपरा का सम्मान है।
गीता प्रेस भारत की संस्कृति से जुड़ी है, हमारे इतिहास के साथ जुड़ी है, हिंदू मान्यताओं के साथ भी जुड़ी है, एफोर्डेबल लिटरेचर का निर्माण करती है, घर घर में वो पहुंची हुई है। और इसके ऊपर आरोप कौन लोग लगा रहे हैं, मैं अभी तर्क की बात कर रहे थे, जो कह रहे हैं कि मुस्लिम लीग सेकुलर थी, ये भूल गए कि मुस्लिम लीग ने क्रेडिट लिया था पाकिस्तान बनने का। मैं तो समझता हूँ इस प्रकार की बहस में उलझना भी अपनी ऊर्जा को व्यर्थ करवा रहा है।
हमारे सनातन के साहित्य के छपने का सबसे बड़ा केंद्र है गीता के। कांग्रेस को आपत्ति इसलिए हो सकती है क्योंकि वो गीता और रामायण ही सिर्फ छापती है, ये इनकी पीड़ा हो सकती है और ये इनकी तुष्टिकरण। उनने 100 साल में कभी सम्मान कोई लिया नहीं, और इसमें भी जो अर्थ का सम्मान है उनने लेने से मना किया है, लेकिन इसके बाद भी इनको आपत्ति है। ये सब देश समझता है कि इन्हें क्यों आपत्ति है।
The Congress, or at least a section of it, says awarding the Gita Press is like giving an award to Savarkar or Godse. That's something that Jairam Ramesh said on Twitter this morning. The Kerala Congress, in fact, said that the name of the award should be changed to Godse Peace Prize. Now, let me tell you why we're seeing such kind of comments. The relationship between the Gita Press founders and Mahatma Gandhi is a well-documented one. Many would say it's a mixed bag of warmth and differences. So let me get you both sides of the story. The founder editor of Gita Press's magazine, Kalyan, Hanuman Prasad Poddar, was believed to be a follower of Mahatma Gandhi. Letters between Mahatma Gandhi and Poddar are available in public domain. They reveal the kind of friendship the duo shared, with Mahatma Gandhi stating in one of the letters that the work done by Gita Press and the Kalyan magazine is a great service to God. Now, in his book, Gita Press, The Making of a Hindu Rashtra, Akshay Mukul, the author, recounts the tempestuous between the kind of relationship between the duo, that is Mahatma Gandhi and Mr. Poddar, after a series of disagreements on caste and communal issues. Specifically, the stand that Gita Press and the Kalyan magazine took on temple entry for Harijans and the Pune Pact. The author claims that Mahatma Gandhi's best efforts, despite that, he failed to change Poddar's views on untouchability. Mukul wrote that Gita Press maintained a studied silence on Mahatma Gandhi's assassination for a very long time. An excerpt from his book reads, "The man whose blessings and writings were once so important for Kalyan did not find a single mention in its pages until April 1948, 3 months since the assassination." Now that I have laid out the facts for you, the kind of relationship that was shared between this particular press, its mouthpiece, and Mahatma Gandhi, the facts are out for you. The counter charges, the charges, they're all in front of you. So let me then get to the big question that we're asking on the right stand tonight. Is the opposition's objection based on facts?
गीता प्रेस एक निर्द्वंद संस्था है, ये कोई राजनीतिक संस्था है नहीं। निष्पक्ष भाव है कि हमारा केवल और केवल न खंडन है न मंडन है, केवल हमारी आध्यात्मिक चर्चा है।
मशीन है, ये गीता प्रेस की प्रथम छपाई मशीन है। ये जो है 29 अप्रैल 1923 को गोरखपुर के हिंदी बाजार में इसकी स्थापना की गई थी। 10 रुपए के किराए के मकान में इसको जो है शुरू किया गया था।
Joining me on this broadcast, spokesperson of the BJP, Guru Prakash Paswan, Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, is with us as well. Congress leader Kamru Chaudhary and Professor Gita Bhatt, an academician and political analyst, joins us on this broadcast. But let me begin by asking you, Kamru Chaudhary, do you agree with what Jairam Ramesh said, the kind of analogy that was drawn as far as Savarkar and Godse is concerned and Gita Press goes?
Well, first of all, let me just remind your viewers the citation that the government brought out. It says like this: Gandhi Peace Prize 2021 recognizes the important and unparalleled contribution of Gita Press in contributing to collective upliftment of humanity I have no objection to this part of the citation. But this part which we have got huge objection is which personifies Gandhian living in true sense. Now, Mr. Poddar, the man whose simplicity, who was influenced by the simplicity, the self-service, the spirituality, that person whom we call Mahatma, was intense that suddenly after maybe in the 30s, I suppose, that Mahatma Gandhi was no longer Mr. Poddar's hero. And because the biggest stumbling block and challenge to the traditional Hindu order was brought about by Mahatma Gandhi. There were differences with regards to the Harijans' entry to the temples. There were differences to the Pune Pact. There were lots of differences between the two. Even, when after Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, the Nathuram Godse was involved in that, and the banning of the RSS, Poddarji and another person, I suppose, Goenka-ji, they were both arrested. At that time also, G.D. Birla, he refused to help the two, and even protested when Sir Badridas Goenka took up their case. For Birla, the two were not propagating Sanatan Dharma, but Shaitan Dharma.
Sure.
This is not made by me. These are written in the manuscript present in the Gita Press itself. This says from the unpublished manuscripts of Poddar's biography, which says the manuscript squarely blames Mahavir Prasad Poddar, a former manager of Gita Press and close aide of Hanuman Prasad and Goenka, for spreading suspicion against the two for alleged involvement in Gandhi's killing. Due to various reasons, Mahavir Prasad is spreading the malicious rumor that Bhaiji, Gita Press and Kalyan are responsible for the association. So now the point is that these two, they are somewhere, whether their involvement was there or not, that is not at all a question here. The question is, what part of Gandhian values did the Gita Press imbibe? If it was for spreading some religious texts, printing religious books, and publishing for the benefit of the humanity, I have got no problem. But
so because you quoted Kamru Chaudhary, because Kamru Chaudhary, you quoted a few things, I'd like to quote a few of my own as well. And this is also documented, well available in the public space. This is an excerpt that, in fact, one of the books that talks about Gita Press and Mahatma Gandhi goes to say that though Poddar opposed Gandhi through Kalyan, privately he respected the Mahatma. In 1940, when Gandhi set up the Goseva Sangh, Jamnalal Bajaj wrote to Poddar seeking his views on the constitution of this particular organization. Bajaj requested Poddar to then be a part of this Sangh, to which Bajaj then said that it really was Mahatma Gandhi's idea that Poddar should be a part of this entire organization. So there are two sides of the same story.
No.
Can you completely ignore that particular aspect of the relationship that the duo shared and just concentrate on this particular one, if that in itself is the only issue as far as the award goes?
No, what he said, you can't remember all those words. I cannot understand many of Bapu's ideas and work. In many cases, my heart openly opposes them. They create problems for me, but then Bapu is Bapu. After all, what has Mahatma Gandhi's views to do with Bhakti to Bapu?
Correct.
Now, the ideological shift that you must understand out here is that where Gita Press, Mr. Poddar or Goenka ji, they were propagating a particular side of the society, that is publishing religious texts, religious books, publishing it. Now, once this Gita Press, however hard they may try to deny that they are not involved in any side of the political divide, but pre-independence, they were involved in propagating Hindutva. Somehow or the other, Poddar was very much actively involved in the Hindu Mahasabha.
So the issue is that they propagated Hindutva and they furthered the agenda of one particular religion, which is why they're not deserving of this award. Am I getting that right, sir?
10 seconds, I will take. Okay. Now, if Gita Press was propagating a particular thought process or a particular religion, then I will say that in that case, Devan Madrasa also was propagating peace, love, spreading the message of Islam from 1867. Now you cannot compare and say, okay, fine, Gita Press was propagating Hindu religion, that's why they deserve the Gandhian Peace Award. No, this is hypocrisy out here. That's where my objection is. And I believe most of my party men will be echoing my thoughts also.
Sure. Well, there seems to be a divide within the Congress party as well, which is why we haven't been able to get too many Congress leaders on record to either back or distance themselves from Jairam Ramesh's remark. But leaving that aside, I want to get in Gita Bhatt as well, an academician who would shed some light as far as the role of this particular organization goes. Gita Bhatt, do you agree with the argument that's being made that because one particular religion and its agenda was being furthered by this particular organization, it's not deserving of a Peace Prize?
Well, Poonam, as you very extensively just showed, in the initial onset of the program, that Gita Press as a publishing house, which has been dedicated for the last 100 years in spreading the principles of Sanatan Dharma by publishing books which are primarily based on Hindu spirituality and philosophy, which definitely propagates inclusivity, harmony and peace. And it has been doing it at such a low cost, and please remember, without taking any advertisement, without taking any donations. They have gracefully accepted the award and have denied the 1 crore cash prize which comes along with the Gandhi Prize.
Which I may add was also at the insistence of what Mahatma Gandhi is believed to have told Poddar back in the day. It was an advice that came in from the Mahatma himself. But anyway, go ahead.
Absolutely. And if such a publishing house, which for the last 100 years, which is one of the largest publishing houses, and you look at the quality of their books, the kind of print is there, the kind of grammar that is used, editing, it is, I think this is, it was long overdue, and the government needs to be congratulated for this. And I would also like to point out over here that when it comes to differences, Rabindranath Tagore was a staunch, critique of Mahatma Gandhi on his non-cooperation movement, and he wrote extensively on it. Does that mean that, Gandhiji would have opposed when Rabindranath Tagore got the Nobel Prize? Would he have, opposed it? Secondly, I would also like to bring forth the kind of ecosystem that works. Congress party, it seems that somehow they are not able to come out of their colonial mindset. And also, if you look at this, that there's a total disconnect with the common masses. Because in general, if you go out and ask in the society, people are very happy to know this, that Gita Press has been awarded this prize. And also, if you look at, Mr. Jairam Ramesh in his tweet, he quotes an author called Mr. Akshay Mukul and his book, and all these references have been taken from this book.
Yes.
Which have been quoted. Now, this particular, I'm just trying to put forth the ecosystem how that is working behind it. In 2016, this particular gentleman, he refused to, accept the prize in the ceremony, in Ramnath Goenka award, because Mr. Modi, as a Prime Minister, was coming and giving those awards. So it is not that he did not, and it has a cash prize also, by the way.
Sure.
It's not that he refused the prize. There was someone else on his behalf who accepted the award, but he himself staunchly refused for this particular reason. So you look at how this ecosystem is working now. Congress is portraying this particular book.
So which narrative or what agenda really are we talking about? That's also important to look at. Kamru Chaudhary, I'll come back to you, but there are two other panelists who are also waiting patiently, and I want to get in Guru Prakash Paswan in as well. Mr. Paswan, do you think this argument that the Congress is trying to make, or a section of the Congress is trying to make, is as per convenience? Because back in 1992, the founding editor of Kalyan, which is the mouthpiece of the Gita Press, Hanuman Prasad Poddar, was in fact honoured by a postage stamp. That was done during P.V. Narasimha Rao's government.
Poonamji, a very warm good evening to you and all my fellow panelists. Before I start my observation, let me show this. And this is very common at every home. It's a Srimad Valmiki Ramayana. A Ramayana which was written by Valmiki, who came from Dalit Samaj in today's lexicon. So I don't know what understanding of Indian culture, Indian history or Indian civilization does Congress leaders have. We are all very well aware that Congress leaders like Mr. Jairam Ramesh, who are super intellectuals, who consider themselves super intellectuals, are not connected with the roots. They are far away from the roots. You go to any single home in parts of Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Rajasthan or Bihar, you will find a book like this. But for a party that has questioned the existence of Bhagwan Ram in 2007. In 2007, it was Congress party whose senior leaders goes on to the Supreme Court and questions the very existence of Bhagwan Ram. Sita ji, Ravan and everyone, they killed the soul of Mahatma Gandhi that day, who used to say, "Hey Ram." So I did not.
Kamru Chaudhary, I'll come to you. Let him finish. Kamru Chaudhary, let's.
No relation to today's debate.
Let him make his point. I gave you your time as well. I will come back to you for a rebuttal. There's enough time to go around. Mr. Paswan, go ahead.
Poonamji, no one spoke a single word when Mr. Kamru Chaudhary was giving his monologue. We expect the same level of dignity. We live in a democracy. We don't live in a Sharia. Everyone should get the respect, recognition, and the time. Please have the grace and patience.
Mr. Paswan, I request civility on all sides. I requested Mr. Chaudhary as well to not interrupt. Let's keep this civil and let's stick to the subject. Mr. Paswan, go ahead, make your point.
Poonam, it was the second occasion when Mr. Kamru Chaudhary intervened while I was speaking, and on zero occasion I spoke when he was speaking, just for the record.
Sure,
let me show this to him again. Valmiki Ramayana published by Gita Press, more than 42 crore books in 14 languages. It does not serve the humankind. And for Congress party, who has questioned the existence of Bhagwan Ram, you have questioned the existence of Bhagwan Ram. Anything that is related to Hindu or Hindutva is terror. Mr. Digvijay Singh, Hindu Atangwad. Mr. P. Chitambram, saffron terror. And anything which is Muslim is secular. Indian Union Muslim League is a secular organization. From where do you get this patience, sir? Look at this hypocrisy and double standard of the Congress party, which must be exposed tonight in your quest of politics of minority appeasement. It was Congress party Prime Minister in 2007, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who says, "Is desh ke sansadnon pe pehla hak Musalmanon ka hai." Did he not say that? I want to ask you, anything that is Hindu, you have a fundamental problem with it. Anything that is Indian cultural, anything that is civilizational, you have a fundamental problem with it. Accept it. This has made the access to civilizational wisdom very affordable, and you don't like it. The elite Congress leaders who have been educated in the so-called best universities of the world cannot accept the fact that this is the press that has democratized knowledge. This is the press that has made knowledge and wisdom available to everyone. But you don't want this. And Mr. Chaudhary was speaking about entry of Harijan into temple. First go and ensure the entry of Harijan in Congress party. When an Adivasi was entering the Rashtrapati Bhavan, what did you not say? You insulted the first ever tribal woman who was supposed to reach the Rashtrapati Bhavan in every single occasion. She represents devilish mindset. You have zero authority and zero moral authority, locus standi, to speak on the issues of marginalized. What have you done? What have you done? I want to ask you tonight. Anything that is Hindu, that is problem with it. And anything that is Muslim is all secular. This is a true appeasement phase of the Congress party. I want to say tonight.
Sure. So the narrative that the Congress is trying to put Kamru Chaudhary, that in itself is a problem. Quick rebuttal before I get in Ghanshyam Tiwari as well. He's been patiently waiting. But quick rebuttal.
Yeah, very quick. My friend Guru Prakash here took us on a world tour, but rather he forgot the what do you call this? The wood for the trees or what, somewhat like that dialogue is there. Basic point out here is that Mr. Guru Prakash, Congress party stands with Hinduism, stands with Islam or any other religion that is practiced in India, because we are a true pluralistic party, we are a true secular and democratic party. Unlike the Bharatiya Janata Party, which on
that is why you said is desh ke sansadnon pe pehla hak Musalmanon ka hai.
Wait.
Was this the reason you said is desh ke sansadnon pe pehla hak Musalmanon ka hai?
It's a debate for you, and I can counter you very handsomely.
Mr. Paswan, you had your time. Let him go ahead.
Out here, Poonam is you criticize the Modi government. That means the Congress is against India. You criticize anything to do with Modi government connected remotely with Hinduism, Hindutva or something, it is against the Hindu religion.
Whatever you say, Mr. Kamru,
how is this linked to the Modi government? Mr. Kamru Chaudhary, gentlemen, let me come in here. How is this related to the Modi government? This is not a decision that the government has taken. The Gandhi Peace Prize. Mr. Paswan, let me just get in a quick word here. Mr. Kamru Chaudhary, it's not the government that has decided to give this prize. There is a jury that decides on who this award goes to. The jury has the Chief Justice on it, it has the Leader of Opposition in the Lok Sabha as well, and other eminent personalities.
Poonam, you are a journalist. You know how the government of the day works. It's a PMO which is running the country.
I'm not here to cast
Council of
aspersions
Ministers.
on anyone, sir.
No, I'm casting aspersions.
But you yeah,
take my
sure,
name,
because
you
you
can
said
quote
it's the
me.
government award. I corrected you there to say
It
that the
is
government
the
hasn't
PMO
given
is
this.
the head of
There is
the
a jury,
committee.
sure. Sure, but the
Narendra
jury
Modi is the
also,
head of the
jury
committee.
also has a leader of opposition from the Lok Sabha. It has the Chief Justice as the Speaker of the Lok Sabha and an eminent personality there on the panel. And I want to get in Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari as well. Mr. Tiwari, what seems to be the objection of the opposition here? Like I just illustrated, it's not an award that has been unilaterally decided by the Modi government and given to someone.
Good evening, Poonam, to you, the viewers and the fellow co-panelists. Three things are important. One is that the day today. 3 years ago, on this day, the Prime Minister said it was a black day. The Prime Minister said a white lie. कोई नहीं आया था, कोई post capture नहीं हुआ था. On this day, this should have been the debate. But unfortunately, Congress Party made a comment and allowed BJP to sway a narrative in its favor by bringing its agenda of Hindu Rashtra as a centerpiece of debate, as my friend Guru Paswan was showing the Ramayana. So let's take that agenda and BJP's seriousness for Hindu Rashtra. Today we should have debated why Braj Bhushan has been given this kind of freedom. What kind of architecture that BJP has in Hindu Rashtra, where people like Braj Bhushan are its heroes, who can openly say that Prime Minister Modi, JP Nadda, Amit Shah are his Hanuman. Today Manipur is burning. So
Sure,
these should have been the headlines.
And we've discussed all of those issues, sir. We've discussed all of those issues.
Allow me to complete.
Sure, go ahead.
Today, because Mr. Jairam Ramesh commented, it has allowed BJP to build its narrative and ensure that these things, which are extremely important to the country, Prime Minister is missing from Manipur, not spoken a word. These are important things. But because of Congress Party, the debate is on Gita Press. Now let's look at Gita Press. Gita Press has done a phenomenal work by ensuring that literature and civilizational knowledge and wisdom reaches every household. That is a fact, and that is celebrated across the country, and it's government prerogative as well as the jury's prerogative to decide. However, when in the same vein BJP objects to comparing its founder with Godse and Savarkar, which the BJP treats as God, by the way. The new parliament was inaugurated on the birthday of Godse, of Savarkar, and 10 days after the birthday of Godse. So BJP treats them as demigods. They give Gandhi Peace Prize. A technicality arises that a man who was questioned, arrested, accused with respect to Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, BJP wants to portray that he was friend, philosopher, and guide of Mahatma Gandhi. There is no two ways about it. So that is a small technicality, but I think it's not a matter of national importance. What is a matter of national importance is why people like Braj Bhushan, Babu Bajrangi, rapists of Ilkit Kano today are the symbol.
Then are you saying the kind of commentary that came to the fore from Jairam Ramesh was completely needless altogether, because that's where the entire controversy began? The award was announced yesterday, but it only became a big deal when the Congress came out and said what they said this morning.
Absolutely. I think Congress Party should look at the agenda that India faces, because the Prime Minister is missing. Prime Minister does not think that Manipur is part of India, right? Home Minister has failed every day as typical people, typical citizens of the country switch on lights go off in Manipur. And not a word, not a tweet from a Prime Minister who can tweet a celebrity's birthday, happy birthday, and who can tell a celebrity what kind of mangoes is like.
And we'll have those discussions when they're up for it. But tonight, the debate, the discussion, the point of it is about the comment that came in from Jairam Ramesh, the kind of objections that have been raised by many others within the opposition, including the RJD as well. But Guru Prakash Paswan, you had a point to make. Go ahead.
Poonam, for a party, Samajwadi Party, whose patriarch once said, "Ladke hain, ladko se galti ho jati hai." For a party who has defended rapists, for a party who has criminals as their leaders, they have the audacity to speak on women's security and gender justice. That is nothing but laughable. For a party whose leader, Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, said, "Pichde, Dalit, Alpsankyak," they are going to set the narrative. This shows their bankruptcy when the country has become from the 10th largest economy to 5th largest economy. Today we are hosting the G20. Today we are hosting the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. That party has the audacity to deviate, and that party has the audacity to speak on women's security and issues like that. It shows a lot. Even today, when Samajwadi Party leader, they're speaking about Pichhade, Dalit and Alpsankyak, I throw an open challenge. I throw an open challenge to my friend from the Samajwadi to name one single Dalit woman who has become a leader in Samajwadi Party. You cannot speak of it. But we have to understand the true agenda behind it. The real face of Congress Party, the real face of opposition is anti-Hindu. Anything that is Hindu is going to be problematic for the opposition party. And anything that is Muslim on the other hand, hear me out carefully. Anything that is Muslim on the other hand will be considered secular because it's going to get them votes. This is nothing but a naked politics of opportunism, a politics of minority appeasement, which the country has now seen. Your leaders cannot go in the public and say that completely. But we speak on behalf of 1.4 billion people of India, and that people of Uttar Pradesh have seen, people of India have seen in 2014, in 2019, and in 2024 as well. We'll see
Mr.
that.
Tiwari, quick rebuttal. I'm running short of time, but quick rebuttal.
Defending Braj Bhushan is creating Hindu Rashtra. Babu Bajrangi letting him go is Hindu Rashtra. Bilkis Bano rapists coming together on a bunch of BJP is Hindu Rashtra. This is their definition. Letting
Mulayam Singh Yadav ladke hain, ladko se galti ho jati hai. Don't you have any audacity to say that?
Please don't interrupt. I think we cannot have.
Mulayam Singh Yadav said ladke hain, ladko se galti ho jati hai.
The kind of comments that have come to the fore from both sides on issues that are completely unrelated to what we're discussing tonight, and there are plenty of them. We've discussed them time and again. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time here on this debate, but what started off as a comment from Jairam Ramesh seems to have spiraled many within the opposition. Once their allies also don't believe it is something that should have happened. I have to leave it at that. I thank you all for joining us here on this broadcast here on The Right Stand. We are shifting focus now to the other big story that we're tracking here, and that is the countdown to the Prime Minister's visit to the United States. It's his first official state visit. The Prime Minister is going to be on a whirlwind United States tour and then to Egypt, for which the Prime Minister is flying at about 7 a.m. tomorrow is what we're learning. Massive preparations are underway in the United States. As the Prime Minister lands in the US, he gets down to business, from leading the International Yoga Day event at the UN headquarters to addressing US congressmen in a joint session of the Congress, to meeting with top CEOs in the United States to push India as the ultimate investment hub. And then, of course, the all-important bilateral with US President Joe Biden. Prime Minister has a packed and a busy schedule for the next 48 hours. There's a host of deals that will be signed when Prime Minister Modi meets United States President Joe Biden. So let me take you through what's on the Prime Minister's agenda. One of the key components which will be predominantly showcased during Prime Minister Modi's visit is going to be on defense cooperation between the two countries. The second key component has been that of strong trade and investment partnership, which is why we're going to be seeing one-on-one meetings with top corporate honchos there as well when the Prime Minister is there. Third is the technology component, the transfer of technology that we're speaking of, which interfaces with many other domains. There's telecom, there's space, there's manufacturing and investment. So all of that is going to be looked at by the Prime Minister during this schedule of his in the United States. Now, there are several reasons why this is an important visit of the Prime Minister. Like I said, it's his first official state visit in the 9 years that he has been the Prime Minister here in the country. One of the biggest reasons why this is significant is because it comes amid deteriorating ties between the US and China. So it's going to be extremely crucial, the strengthening of ties between India and the United States. Another reason why this is key is because the US is trying to counter China's dominance in this particular region, and India could use that to its advantage. India's potential as alternative supply chain for the United States is also something that India has been pushing for. It will be of key focus when the Prime Minister is in the United States as well. The expansion of the bilateral trade between the two countries, which is upwards of $190 billion. That is also something that we will want to strengthen and further increase. Another reason why this is an extremely important visit, not just for India and for the Indian Prime Minister, but also for United States and Joe Biden, because it's important to improve the commitment to the Indo-Pacific region as well. And another big reason which both countries and analysts in both those countries are also looking at, of course, is the mega defense deal to keep common enemies out, and the fact that both India and the United States go to elections next year, as general elections here in India, and of course the presidential elections in 2024 for the United States as well. So there's a lot at stake, there's a lot on the table. Let's decode the significance and where we move forward from here. Edward P. Joseph, Senior Fellow and SES Foreign Policy Institute, joins us on this broadcast. Raymond Vickery, Senior Associate at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, also with me. Let me start by asking Raymond Vickery, How do you see this particular visit of the Prime Minister, the Indian Prime Minister, coming to the fore just 1 year ahead of elections in both the countries? It is his first official state visit in the 9 years that he's been the Prime Minister.
Well, thanks for having me. I think this is a very important time in U.S.-India relations. I don't think the United States could do any more to show how much it values India, how much it values Prime Minister Modi than the next few days will show. We're literally rolling out the red carpet with the White House reception, with a joint session address to Congress, with meetings with CEOs, and deep discussions about the need for building peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific area. So I think that this is very important, but it comes on top of a continuous strengthening of the U.S.-India relation, which has been going on really since the 1990s, and it's been basically an upward trajectory, particularly with the U.S.-India civil nuclear deal, and this will be a further step in that upward trend.
Absolutely. It's onwards and upwards as far as those two countries goes. And Mr. Joseph, I'd like to get you in as well. Ties between the United States and India have only bettered as far as multiple facets have concerned, especially since the formation of the Quad is concerned. A common enemy in China that has been found in the Indo-Pacific region. The fact that this region was called Indo-Pacific is something that seems to have brought several countries, at least as far as the Quad countries, on one page.
Correct. I think that this is largely driven by geopolitics, and there's an element here of domestic U.S. politics. We shouldn't forget about that, with a growing and politically quite significant Indian-American population. So for Joe Biden, this is about geopolitics and also domestic politics, both. And it's interesting, you know, you're absolutely right. You mentioned China. This visit of this state visit, only the third leader, Prime Minister Modi is only the third leader to have that honor at the White House, a state visit under President Biden, comes right after Secretary Blinken has met Xi Jinping in China, in Beijing. And that is crucial here. That's the pivot point in the geopolitical element of this visit. That's what makes India such a crucial partner of the United States. And this, the timing is for the United States, it's an ideal timing, because now there's a much fresher understanding of the relationship going forward with China, and that can be presented in great detail directly with Prime Minister Modi to agree on how the two countries will approach the threat from China. Please.
Absolutely. The threat from China is something that is going to be on the minds of the two leaders when they sit down for that bilateral. Also something that observers are keenly watching out for. But I want to get in the interesting aspect of what we've been seeing in the recent few days in the lead up to Prime Minister Modi's visit. And I want to get in Raymond Vickery on that. You've been part of the administration in the past yourself. So I want to ask you this, the kind of reactions, the outspoken comments that we've seen from several congressmen. Is this something you've seen in the past, or is this the first time we're seeing such kind of enthusiastic comments with much clarity that are coming out?
No, I think that this has been one of the few areas in which there is actual agreement between Republicans and Democrats. And that has stretched all the way back to the Clinton administration when I was in government, and has continued through Republican as well as Democratic administrations. On the Hill, this reflection of bipartisanship has only grown. I'm involved in something called the U.S.-India partnership in the Congress, and the largest caucuses in both the Senate and the House are U.S.-India caucuses. So the point about U.S. domestic politics is very well taken. Indian Americans are among the most valued citizens of the United States, have done very well, not only economically, but increasingly politically. There are 5 members of the House who are of Indian origin, and across the board, Indian Americans have made their impact on the Congress. So I think that this is part of a continued upward trend, and I believe the joint session of Congress addressed by Prime Minister Modi will show that this is continuing.
Absolutely. And I want to address the elephant in the room, so to say, Edward Joseph, and that would be Russia. That's something that the two countries have differing opinions on. Where do you think that's going to lead? Is that something that is going to come up or is expected to come up in the next 48 hours when the Indian Prime Minister is in the United States?
There's no question about it, and that's where defense cooperation figures so prominently. As India and the United States sign agreements to advance defense cooperation, that is aimed also at pulling India away from Russia, because it's really a question of mutual interest here. India is stuck in a inertia, a sort of a Cold War inertia attachment to a Russia that is rapidly declining and losing any type of significance or even credibility, especially in the defense realm, when we see the incompetent performance of the Russian army on the battlefield, and the fact that with the sanctions and the devastation of the Russian economy under the catastrophic leadership of Vladimir Putin, Russia will be behind in the arms industry. It will not be able to compete with technology from the United States.
Sure.
So this will definitely come up. It will be conveyed to Prime Minister Modi in very clear terms that, look, this is in India's strategic interest to move away from this catastrophic leader, Vladimir Putin, to move away from Russia and to join with the United States, both in countering and isolating Putin and in countering China. That is going to be the strategic message that President Biden conveys at this very important summit. Please.
Sure. And Raymond Vickery, we've seen that kind of nudge coming in from the United States as far as Russia goes over the course of the entire 15-month-long war that we've seen. But India has made it clear that our interests are going to be paramount to us. So we'll try and make that balancing act as far as all of our allies go. And Russia is an ally. That is something that India has always maintained over the course of the last 15 months. Do you think, given that stand, it's something that perhaps wouldn't even be a wrinkle between the ties between India and United States?
Well, it's definitely of concern because the United States and India are founded on certain principles having to do with democracy, having to do with respect for international law, having to do with due process and building peace. This is not the approach of Russia under Putin. His view is you got to reestablish the Russian Empire. You've got to take over Ukraine. He's got his eye on Moldova. He's got his eye on Georgia. And this is of concern, I believe, to India as well as the U.S. Certainly, India makes its own decisions, and it goes forward as it sees its interests. But there will be discussions about what the mutual interest is between the United States and India in regard to the international rule of law, not just with China, but with Russia as well. I think that you can say that there's going to be progress made on the initiative for critical and emerging technologies between the U.S. and India. And that's designed really to make India less dependent upon Russia. As has been said by Mr. Joseph, the fact is that reliance on Russia has historic roots in regard to defense equipment. But going forward, that is the over-reliance on Russia is certainly not in the interest of India. And so this will be a matter of discussion. The question really is, to me, whether India is going to see its interest as broader than just the defense of its borders against China. Will it see its interest? And I believe it's been made clear by Prime Minister Modi that it will, when he said to Putin, this is not a time for war, this is a time for peace and negotiation.
Yeah.
Whether or not India will be willing to act on those across the board. And I believe there's a growing appetite, and you can tell me from the Indian perspective, for that international role. India is a great power now, but it needs to act like one. The United States is treating India as a great power. And India is moving more and more, it seems to me, to see its interest not just in defense of its borders, but in the wider scope of building peace and prosperity throughout the world. And I think this will be a major focus of discussions between the Prime Minister and the President.
And like you mentioned, India is emerging as the leader. It is emerging as the first among equals, if I may say so, and which is why it's going to be extremely crucial, the kind of negotiations, the kind of dialogue we see between the two leaders when they sit down for that bilateral. But this visit of the Prime Minister to the United States is definitely high on symbolism. The optics of it is also something that we must look at. But I have to leave it at that. I thank you both gentlemen, Edward Joseph and Raymond Vickery, for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. You are going to be seeing the biggest build-up to Prime Minister Modi's US visit right here on CNN News 18. But for now, it's time for a quick break. Indian films.
अगर आपको लगा कि मनोज मुंतशिर की लेखनी से निकले ये संवाद आपके राम के चरित्र को और आपकी मां सीता के सतीत्व को सही तरीके से प्रतिपादित कर रहे हैं, सही तरीके से प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, तो पहले तो इतने के लिए मेरी प्रशंसा होनी चाहिए कि मैंने बहुत अच्छा किया। फिर जहां आपको ये लगता है कि नहीं भाई, बजरंगबली के 5 संवादों पे पूरी कहानी है, 4-4.5 हजार लाइनें, मैंने गिनी तो नहीं है, पर लगभग इतनी लाइनों के संवाद पिक्चर में है, उसमें से अगर 5 पे ऐतराज है आपको, तो ये 5 का ऐतराज मैं शिरोधार्य करता हूं। मैं इतने अहंकार में नहीं हूं, मैं ब्रह्मा नहीं हूं कि मैंने कलम उठाई, लेखनी से जो लिख दिया वही विधि हो गई। अरे बिल्कुल नहीं। 5 डायलॉग पे आपत्ति है, मैं 5 बदल रहा हूं 100%। ये नहीं कि आधा अधूरा। मैं अपने संवादों के पक्ष में अनगिनत तर्क दे सकता हूं, लेकिन मेरे तर्क देने से आपकी पीड़ा कम नहीं होगी। अगर आपको कुछ दुखा है, अगर आप आहत हुए हैं, आपका आहत होना मेरे लिए बड़ी बात है।
अब ये तो पहली बात तो ये है कि जो सेंसर बोर्ड उसे देखना चाहिए था कि इस प्रकार से जो हमारे महापुरुष हैं, जो हमारे आराध्य हैं, उसके मुख से इस प्रकार के शब्दों का बुलवाना कोई उचित बात है? ऐसे लोगों के खिलाफ तो कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए।
इस पर टिप्पणी में पढ़ना नहीं चाहता था, क्योंकि इस तरह की फिल्मों के बारे में मेरा स्पष्ट मत है कि ये फिल्में एजेंडा के तहत बनाई जाती है। अब अगर उसमें आपने जिन ईश्वर के प्रति लोगों की आस्था, एक बड़े वर्ग की, उनकी जुबान आपने टपोरियों वाली जुबान कर दी, ये तो किसी के, मतलब मैं समझता हूं कि किसी के जहन में उतरेगा नहीं। आप कहीं ना कहीं ये तो साबित होता है ना कि आपको लगा मैं कुछ भी कर जाऊंगा, कुछ नहीं होगा मेरा, क्योंकि एक तरह का सैंक्शन आपको है। आपने जिन जिन लोगों को धन्यवाद दिया है फिल्म में, उसमें सारे मैं देख रहा था बीजेपी के चीफ मिनिस्टर या डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर।
आदिपुरुष इस फिल्म के विषय में जो अभी र्यूमर है, जो पब्लिक ने, जिन्होंने देखा है, जो रिव्यू आ रहे हैं, वो अच्छे नहीं हैं। मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं हिंदू जनमानस को उनके संवादों से ठेस पहुंची है। और इसके पहले भी ये विषय जब आया था, जब ट्रेलर आया था इसका, तब भी मैंने ये कहा था कि इसमें किसी भी फिल्म को, उसका विरोध हम तुरंत नहीं करते हैं। हम उस फिल्म को देखेंगे तब उसका विरोध हम करेंगे। लेकिन इस समय जो कुछ भी हम सुनने को हमें मिल रहा है वो ठीक नहीं है, और निश्चित तौर पर आदिपुरुष फिल्म ने हिंदू जनमानस के कहीं न कहीं मनों को ठेस पहुंचाई है।
Now, there's breaking news coming in. We're learning that SP Chief Akhilesh Yadav has waded into the Adipurush controversy, saying, and I quote, "Those who are playing with the faith of the people by making arbitrary films with an agenda, with the money of political masters, their political character certificate should be checked before giving the certificate of the censor board. Has the censor board become Dhritarashtra?" Now, again, multiple statements. There's been a lot of controversy over the film Adipurush, specifically when it comes to the depiction of Sita. Remember, this film is based on the Ramayana, loosely based, of course. Now, this film is not being touted as a documentary. It is a work of fiction, but there still continues to be controversy over the depiction of the characters in the film. There have been multiple reactions from opposition leaders as well. We're crossing over to CNN News 18 senior editor Pallavi Ghosh to tell us more about the controversy. Pallavi, so right now the breaking input that we have is a reaction from the SP chief.
Yes, it to be on a bit of a back foot. I think this is in a year when we are going to expect the Ram Mandir to be inaugurated, which is going to be in January, early next year.
Who is a senior journalist from Nepal on Adipurush, the ban in Kathmandu and Pokhara.
पंकज दास विद अस राइट नाउ। सर, हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए धन्यवाद। इस फिल्म के रिसेप्शन के बारे में आप हमें और क्या बता सकते हैं काठमांडू और नेपाल के अंदर?
देखिए, काठमांडू के जो मेयर हैं, उन्होंने फिल्म रिलीज होने से एक दिन पहले ही ये कहा था कि यदि इस फिल्म का जो डायलॉग है जिसमें ये कहा गया है कि किसी भी भारत की बेटी के साथ इस तरह का व्यवहार न करे, इस तरह का एक डायलॉग है उसमें, इनका कहना है कि सीता जो जानकी का रोल है, वो जानकी सीता माता को दिखाया गया है और उनका जन्म जनकपुर में हुआ था। वो जनकपुर की थी और जनकपुर नेपाल का हिस्सा है, इसलिए उसको भारत की बेटी कैसे कहा गया है, तो इस वजह से यहाँ पे विरोध हो रहा है। हालांकि फिल्म में जो वो डायलॉग है वो किसी और कंटेक्स्ट में कहा गया है, इस तरह की कोई आपत्तिजनक बात नहीं और सीता को खास टारगेट करके भी नहीं कहा गया है, लेकिन यहाँ पे एक अलग तरह का ही राष्ट्रवाद चलता है, भारत विरोधी राष्ट्रवाद जो है नेपाल में चलता है। तो इस वजह से फिल्म सेंसर बोर्ड जो नेपाल का है उसने वो भारत शब्द को म्यूट करके यहाँ दिखाने के लिए परमिशन दे दिया था।
The row over the Prabhas star film Adipurush continues to escalate after the film's dialogue writer Manoj Muntashir said that the dialogues will be revised. Now, the other faction of the Shiv Sena's MP Priyanka Chaturvedi has demanded that the BJP CMs who blessed the film should apologize to the nation. Remember, the movie thanks several BJP chief ministers for blessing the movie. And meanwhile, Hindu organizations have created a ruckus at the Capital Mall at Nalasopara in Maharashtra over the film. Hindu groups raised slogans inside of the cinema hall, as a result of which the show had to be cancelled midway. Apart from India, Adipurush is also drawing criticism in Nepal's Kathmandu, where the city's mayor has raised questions over the depiction of Sita and announced an all-out ban on the release of Hindi films in the city. And it's not just Kathmandu, but Pokhara has also banned all Indian films.
अगर आपको लगा कि मनोज मुंतशिर की लेखनी से निकले ये संवाद आपके राम के चरित्र को और आपकी मां सीता के सतीत्व को
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. On Sunday, Gita Press of Gorakhpur was awarded the winning prize of Gandhi Peace Prize. The prize is awarded for propagating peace and non-violence. A jury headed by the Prime Minister took a unanimous decision to select Gita Press as the recipient of the award this year for its outstanding contribution towards social, economic and political transformation through non-violent and other Gandhian methods. Soon after, though, the announcement, Congress General Secretary Jairam Ramesh lashed out at the government and objected this move. He has tweeted that the decision to confer the Gita Press with the Gandhi Peace Prize is a travesty and it is like awarding Godse or Savarkar. Congress ally in Bihar, RJD, also came out in Ramesh's support and stated that Gandhi's Hinduism was different from Gita Press's Hinduism. The BJP in turn highlighted how for the Congress leaders, Muslim League is secular but Gita Press is problematic. Now, objection is still okay if it is on grounds whether this award should go to a press like this or not. But was it unwarranted to equate Gita Press to Godse? We'll take that question to our guest joining us in just a bit. Let's first take a look at the objectives of the Gandhi Peace Prize. What is really the criteria when the jury sits and decides on this prize? So the Gandhi Peace Prize is an annual award instituted by the government in 1995 on the occasion of 125th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi as a tribute to the ideals espoused by him. It is awarded to a person or organization who is outstanding in promoting peace, non-violence and other ideals of Mahatma Gandhi, a person who has worked selflessly for betterment of less privileged section of the society, and is also given to a person who has contributed towards social justice and harmony irrespective of whether they hold a high public office or not. Now, there are written works that can be part of the criteria, but those works to be selected or to be eligible have to be published works. And the jury, which is headed by the Prime Minister, as I mentioned, shall be able to acquaint itself with the published content. In other words, they do look for content that they can understand and are not bound to put their minds to all kinds of content in all languages. Let's also take a look at the history of the Gita Press, who's been conferred this Gandhi Peace Prize now. The Gita Press was established in April 1923 in Uttar Pradesh's Gorakhpur, so it has completed a glorious 100 years. It promotes morality and spirituality through its published literature. The most important aspect is that they publish nominally priced copies of Hindu sacred texts. These sacred religious texts have also been translated in simple-to-follow Hindi language. In fact, the copies are so easily accessible that Gita Press is one of the biggest presses in India despite being not-for-profit and has an unprecedented scale of its books being read by Indian citizens. The archives of Gita Press contain over 3,500 manuscripts and over 100 interpretations of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's a national treasure and an important repository of Indian knowledge system. Let's take a look at the objections, though, raised by the Grand Old Party. Congress General Secretary Jairam Ramesh tweeted that according to a biography, he quoted another book, Gita Press had stormy relations with Mahatma Gandhi himself. That Gita Press copies were against Mahatma Gandhi's political, religious and social agenda. He said the decision to award Gita Press is a travesty, but he also went one step further to say the decision is like giving an award to Savarkar or Nathugam Godse, the man who killed Mahatma Gandhi. While Jairam Ramesh may have shot off the tweet, the Congress party otherwise seems to be uncomfortable questioning this award to Gita Press. In fact, Congress sources tell us that their leaders are divided over this objection to the award. Sources say Congress President and their UP unit is not happy with Ramesh's remarks. They feel the attack was unnecessary. They also feel that the tweet undermines the work that has been done by the Gita Press and offends those who've been readers of those works. And they've also indicated to us that it contradicts the party's own stand on Adipurush, for example, where they have stood up for the sentiments of the public associated with Ramayana. The big debate that's coming up, though, is this: whether they're objecting to someone being selected for an award is one thing, but the manner in which and the equations and the parallels that have been drawn, is that an unwarranted attack on Gita Press by the Congress leader?
गीता प्रेस जो आज वटवृक्ष बन गया है और इसकी शाखाएं पूरे विश्व में फैली हुई हैं, इसकी स्थापना भी बड़े रोचक ढंग से हुई है।
गीता प्रेस का इतिहास 29 अप्रैल 1923 से शुरू हुआ। 10 रुपए के किराए के मकान से ये शुरू हुआ है।
Gita Press Gorakhpur has been conferred with Gandhi Peace Prize. I repeat, Gandhi Peace Prize. My Prime Minister, who was the chief of the jury, says for social and cultural transformation. What kind of social and cultural transformation?
अफोर्डेबल लिटरेचर का निर्माण करती है, घर घर में वो पहुंची हुई है। और इसके ऊपर आरोप कौन लोग लगा रहे हैं जो कह रहे हैं कि मुस्लिम लीग सेकुलर। मैं तो समझता हूँ इस प्रकार की बहस में उलझना भी अपनी ऊर्जा को व्यर्थ कर रहा है।
Has the Congress ended up offending people for no reason really and shot itself in the foot? I'll take that question to some of our political guests joining us. But also with us is Devi Dayal, the trustee of the Gita Press. Many congratulations to you. Tuhin Sinha of the BJP, Kamru Chaudhary of the Congress, and also Udit Goenka, who's the great-grandson of the founder of the Gita Press, is joining us, although the press is run by a trust and not directly by the family. I do thank all of you for joining us. देवी दयाल जी, मैं सबसे पहले आपके पास आना चाहती हूँ. आप जिस तरह का अटैक कांग्रेस पार्टी ने गीता प्रेस को अवार्ड मिलने पे किया है और जो ऑब्जेक्शन उन्होंने किया है, आप उसको कैसे रिस्पॉन्ड करेंगे?
हम किसी भी राजनीतिक टिप्पणी का कोई जवाब नहीं देना चाहते हैं. आप हमारे से